and the drinks are on my mind. The decision sets in, one that will churn your skin. The love is right, let them have their time. And I have this notion, let's keep these wheels in motion. In motion. You thought I did not know. Did you think I would let it go? Oh no. And in time, yes, I think it's absurd, but until then you'll leave your words. But lay on, lay on. Now it's time to defend your lies, lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh, darling, you say that you are innocent, but your words, they seem irrelevant, but still play on. Now it's time to defend your lies, lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh, darling, have you reached your lover's end? No more. Will we make pretend like we something to fight for? Oh. We had nothing to fight for. 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 wanted was love, but that was never enough. No, never enough. 'Cause you were chasing your dreams, now you can't redeem yourself. You were chasing your dreams, now you can't redeem yourself. Disregarding your name, your smell is all that remains. They say you're an SLUT, but that doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me. What you say, we're all looking to be alone. And somehow, someday, we'll find what we're looking for. Till then, you'll still be a boy. To be alone. And somehow, someday, we'll find what we're looking for. Until then, we'll all be yours.
Right, I've managed to get the mic working, but I'm still struggling with the audio input, and I do apologise. I don't know what happened. It was working, and then all of a sudden just completely disappeared from underneath me. I've managed to get the mic back, but still can't do the game audio. So I think you just got to have to... yeah, I think you're just going to have it in the background as it is. Apologies for this. Yeah, sorry about that. So we're just going to have it coming through the TV and hope it doesn't drown me out too much. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I have got some new equipment coming. I've had no end of problems with this in the last couple of days. Hopefully, touch wood, I can get it sorted out and we won't have these continual problems. But, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, unsurprisingly, Simonis is on pole. But this time doesn't really have it all his own way. There is only a small gap back to Wendigo. 143.2 for him. Then it's a 143.3 for Wendigo in second place. And there was a good second for him yesterday in the Endurance Championship that we're operating. Very close to Kevin, and probably would have caught him had there been a little bit more time to do so. MT96 in third, just 0.3 back, and he is currently second in the championship, so will want to try and get a bit closer to the front if he can. I think we can draw the conclusion that at this stage, Simonis is pretty much unbeatable. He's the alien in the room. So I think the championship really is about who can finish second and third at the moment, unless of course someone can find some crazy pace to keep up with him. Timosius, he's running in fourth place. That's a 144.0 for him. Running in fourth and just 8 thousandths of a second quicker than Gidrazo. There he is with a 44.1. Paz Kozas just behind him with a 44.4. And then Manfredas with a 0.3 of a second down, or with a 44.7. Fizrakas just put in his fastest lap of the race with a 145.4 and 0.2 back. And not been able to improve since his first hot lap. Mr. J with a 45.6. And then bringing up the rear is Shady, 2.5 seconds back. Litovkas, I will do as best as I can. It's a bit of a nightmare when you start out and then you have some unexpected technical issues just jump up and hit you. I had this working perfectly about half an hour ago, and I don't know what's happened, but I'm having an absolute nightmare. Last 3 days have been an absolute nightmare with keeping this stuff running. And it's been more than one occasion where I've nearly put a fist through a screen. It's been that frustrating, and I can't work out why these problems keep jumping in and out. But hopefully the sound coming through the TV doesn't make it too shabby a watch. Unfortunately, we have these problems, but you know, fingers crossed when the new gear comes, this won't happen again. But this, to be fair, isn't a gear problem. It's, I don't know what it is. Who knows? But anyway, on we go. So we've got about 5 minutes left to qualify. So 5 seconds left to qualify. So anyone that's left on the track, or is it 5 seconds or is it 5 minutes? It is 5 minutes left to qualify. I'm sorry. Anyone that's left on track will have a couple more opportunities, or maybe this is their last opportunity to set a quick time. Can anybody get close? Danis D, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the broadcast. We're in big danger of more people watching than we are having people. For some reason, let's have a look here. No one driver wins 5 races in a row in NRC history. Simonis has 4 in a row. If he wins today, he'll be the first driver to win 5 in a row. That's quite interesting, actually. So nobody's won 5 in a row. I'm going to call it now. I think he probably will. And the reason being is that I think he's to you guys how Kevin is to us at Black Flag. He's just that kind of level, that slight level above, that it doesn't matter how bad a race he seems to be having, he still seems to be quite quick. For me, Wendigo's got to be the closest to him in terms of pace. We need to sort of listen. Wendigo nearly caught Kevin yesterday, so maybe that bodes well for him catching Simonis. That would be an awesome, awesome thing to see. And he's only a tenth and a half slower than Simonis was going around here at Autopolis. And Autopolis is a very, very unforgiving track. It does not allow you to make any errors, and it can be really tricky, particularly through Sector 2. Sector 1, not too bad, you've only got the one big, you've got the braking zone at turn 1, and that's really it for Sector 1. Sector 2, you've got that mad, twisty kind of right, left sections, as well as that kind of, that big 180 switchback right-hander, before you go into Sector 3 and Sector 3. It's a little bit more spread out corner-wise and less about the throttle control through those sections. So we'll see how it all pans out. So we move on to the race, which will be in probably about a minute or so. Another quick word from our sponsors, of course. This is why they're doing it. It's for Splash Wake Park and Splash IT Water feature. Look at that. I mean, that's awesome. Who's not going to enjoy doing something like that? That does look wicked. And that's who is their well, it's these guys' sponsor. Pretty much. What else can you say about it? I don't know what I've bothered with that, turn it off. So, another quick look at the standings. There we go. That's how we look at the minute. Simonis leads away. This will be his third win around this championship in this season, but he won the last two of last season, which puts him on 4 in a row. This will be 5 in a row, and we've been reliably informed in chat by Ron is that no one has ever won 5 races in a row, and I'm going to be brutally honest, it's going to be very difficult to see past him. Las Vidas is the only person I've seen racing Simonis that can actually put him under pressure. Good evening, Fingers. How the hell are you, man? How the hell are you? Yeah, and with Las Vegas not being in there, I can't see anywhere past it. So, here we go. Race is about to begin. Let's get rid of that and get going. So, it is a rolling start, of course, which always favours the guy out in front. And we've got to do this, and we've got to do this, of course. Because with a rolling start, it gives quite a decent gap back to everybody else. I'm not a big fan of rolling start for fastest first grids. I think they're very, very favourable to the faster drivers. And I think the rolling start grids are much better when you're doing a reverse grid scenario, because it just stops those faster guys immediately jumping on the back of the quicker guys from the outset. Yeah, get on with it, mate. I'm only joking, I'm joking. So Simonis leads the way from Wendigo. Can these two guys pull away from MT96? Or is it going to be a proper battle there in that top 3? A lot of lag this evening, and it's not at my end, thankfully, because I've done a full reset. I did notice, actually, I popped into the lobby a couple of times earlier, and it was lagging. And I did a full router reset and a cache clear and everything else at my end. But I don't know whether it's a host issue or what the situation is, but my connection is very strong this evening. But I'll tell you what it is. This is my genuine thought. Is we are there's an update next week, and always historically through GT7 in the week leading up to an update, the lobbies are an absolute mess, and I genuinely think that what they do is they tweak something to make the lobbies a little bit rubbish, so that when you get the update and things improve again, you think they've done something, when actually all they've done is put it back to how it was. So they're not fixing, they're basically damaging to make it look like they're fixing. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if that's what's been happening. But full rundown. So Simonis leads away 1.4 seconds, already pulling out a gap. Wendigo running in second place. He's got MT96 tucked in behind him in that BMW. Timosius running in third place. He has opted to go switch to that Jaguar. And I think he used his token after race number 1. Which was a really odd choice, to be fair, because you would have thought, leading up to the championship, you'd have some sort of idea of the car you really wanted to use. Paz Kozas is 6/10 behind him in 5th place, 1.4 seconds back to Manfredas in that Mustang. Guy Drazo, he's in that GTR, 6/10 back, and got a half-second advantage at the moment over Shady. Mr. J, 1.5 back from there. And then we've got 8/10 back to Fizz Ruckus in the very, very, I tell you, I love this livery. This is very colourful, very vibrant, awesome looking livery on that. Absolutely brilliant. Massive credit to whoever did that. I'll tell you what, Fizz Ruckus, if you did that, you need to think about charging for your work, because that is a thing of beauty, my friend. Absolutely gorgeous. Love it, like it a lot, Picasso. So Simonis opening up, he's getting bigger and bigger already, this gap. We're only on lap 2, and already his gap is out to 1.7 seconds. Fastest lap over the weekend in the Porsche Cup around here, even with the Tier 1 guys, was a 1:43, I think it was 1:43.2 was the fastest lap. Average race pace was in the low 44s. For the drivers like Sharky and Jakey and those kind of front runners. Division 2, of which Arminis is in, was around the mid-45s. So very Simonis' pace of a 45.2 on the tyres he's currently on is not too shabby. Pretty damn good. And he is already sending it this way. He's sending it Leroy Jenkins style, absolutely straight in, no messing about. It's funny how the audio I want to work does work, and that audio, sorry, doesn't work, and that audio absolutely does. What a pain in the arse. I'm not going to bore you with the problems I've had over the last 3 days. I had to move some stuff around. I lost a screen, and then I had to move stuff around, and it turns out that one of the screens didn't work properly, and So at the moment, my steering wheel is actually facing the opposite direction to the way I need it to face at the moment. But I'm not doing anything now until my new computer equipment comes. So Simonis absolutely dominating. I think let's focus on some of the guys behind who are vying for 2nd and 3rd in the championship, because I think that is where we're going to see the battles this season. I think, look, I would love to see Simonis put under a bit of pressure and a bit of a challenge for him. I'm sure he'd probably like the same too. But at the moment, he just seems so far and away quicker than anybody else out there. And to be fair, the person that should be snatching it is Wendigo. Wendigo led last season pretty much beginning to end until Simonis swept in lastminute.com and snatched that championship away from him. So I'm sure Wendigo will want to up this pace in that BMW and lay some vengeance upon Simonis. 2.4 is the gap between him and Simonis out in front. It's 3.3 seconds back to Timosius. Paz Kozas running in 4th place. He's not too far behind in that 911. And just tucked in behind. 8/10 is the difference. Manfredas 1.9 seconds further back in 5th place. Yoda, baby Yoda on that car. Manfredas based in the United States, of course. But, of course, very much Lithuanian. Half a second back to Shady with the that's a really, really cool kind of Lithuanian colouring all over that car. Really, really nice, actually. Gidrazo still in 7th place, 1.4 seconds back in that GTR. It's a perfect storm, 1.4 ahead, 1.4 behind. And behind him is Mr. J. Running in 8th place, 3.1 seconds back to Fizz Ruckus, who's gained himself a place in MT96, has had some sort of problem somewhere. He's had a little crashy, and he now finds himself in last place. And there we go. How you coming fast indeed. 5.7 seconds back as it stands. Now that is a devastating blow for him because he is currently second in the championship. And that is going to be a really devastating blow to have to work his way from the back of the pack. Lap 5 here, we're at Autopolis. This is season 3, round 3 of the Lithuanian GR3 Championships. Some of the big names from last season, like Rollis, not racing, but watching. Dynasty, the season 1 champion, in the viewing circle as well, and not out there. Armanis, who didn't race last night in the Porsche Cup because this track is rubbish, not racing this evening either. Both himself and Wendigo raced yesterday, along with Pleasurecraft from these guys. Raced in the endurance series with Black Flag yesterday, and all put in a pretty darn good shift, especially Wendigo, who pushed Kevin right to the end of the race to steal a very, very confident second. But there is your race leader, 3.2 seconds he leads. Comfortably leads at the moment. We'll have a quick look at tyres and fuel, shall we? There we go. There's your tyres and fuels. All the graphic stuff's working. It's just everything else is struggling a little bit. There's your tyre and fuel data for you. Medium tyres for Simonis. Very, very abrasive settings for this track. Already 5 laps in, and we're staring down a barrel at a pit stop on the medium tyres. Wendigo running the mediums also, as is Tomosis. I don't think anybody is running the soft. I suppose MT96 may. No one's running the softs at all. I think everybody is on those medium compound tyres, and the settings just don't. I mean, if you're already here on the medium tyres, you can see that everybody's burnt through them quite significantly. You're not going to be running the softs yet without expecting to be pitting every probably 3 laps. Very, very aggressive tyre wear. And let's face it, that kind of aggressive tyre wear is just not on, and you just don't need it. So I was looking for the button, sorry. There it is. Right, so Simonis does lead the way. Wendigo, he can't stick with Simonis, but he is pulling away from Timosius in 3rd place, getting himself a good solid distance. So already we can see those top 3 just spreading out at the front. No one giving up any slipstream, but no one getting any either. And what we'll do when we cross the start finish line, we're going to go on board with Wendigo and see just how complicated and complex this track is from a driver's perspective. It's not a favoured track of many, this Autopolis, to be fair. Because it's such an odd, and it is an odd track. There doesn't seem to be any discernible pattern to it. It seems to me that it's just kind of, and this is actually a real racetrack, but it seems almost like it's been thrown together by a number of different people that want to see incredibly complicated racing. One thing that you do know about this racetrack is that the runoff areas are massive. So you really can make a mistake and pretty much guarantee you're not gonna die. So here we go. Let's go on board with Wendigo. This is how you see the start of the lap. You take this right-hander. You want to keep to the right-hand side to give yourself the best possible exit into this left-hander, which is your start-finish straight. And you head down, drifting slowly over to that left-hand side, where you look for the 100-metre board if it's there, or just the 50-metre board actually. Get braking, turn in, and that right-hander can be a tricky turn, that right-hander, but then you are flat out, and that's Sector 1 done already. That's how quickly you could complete Sector 1. Sector 2 is where it gets really, really tricky. You've got this right-hander followed immediately by this complicated left-hander, which kind of turned, it's like a double apex left-hander. Then you've got this ever-widening right-hander, which is like a double turn again, but kind of curling back on itself. You can't really get on the power as much as you'd like to until now-ish. So you've got this left-hander here, and then you get on the power for a little while, and sweeping round to the right-hand side and complete Sector 2 in the braking zone into Sector 3 for this. This and Turn 1 are probably the 2 biggest overtaking zones on this circuit. Everywhere else is just too dangerous and too tricky to do. And then you've got the right-hander here, a short burst of power before you brake again for this turn here, which you can brake really late here actually. Then on the power again before you brake for the left-hander. A little lift here actually would suffice. Depends on the car class really. Then you're sweeping around it, forever turning right there. Back on the power very briefly, and then you're back into this left-right combo at the end of the lap. And this is pretty much how much you're going to get out of the medium tyres. Maybe one more lap if you're brave. Simona stays out, Wendigo stays out, but it's going to be the last lap on those tyres without question. Timosius stays out, Pazkozas, Gidrazo stays out as well. I'm going to show you just how bad this tyre wear is at the minute. Just you can see that already after 7 laps, no one really has much time. And Manfredas is doing all right. Manfredas has probably got another couple of laps in him. So actually that might play into a much better run for him later on if he can stay out a couple of laps longer. With his wear so far, I think he can easily go to lap 10, maybe lap 11, based on the fact that everybody else is coming in, I would have thought, at the end of this lap 8. Shady goes in. He's the first one into the pits, along with Fizrukas, both out the back of the pack. Some damage to the front of Fizrukas' car. He goes back out on the mediums. He's going for a short stint. Shady, however, has opted for those racing hard tyres, so wants to take it out a little bit longer and a little bit squirrely on those tyres. It's going to be difficult on those tyres to find any kind of decent grip here at Autopolis. It's not the grippiest of tracks as it is, and it's going to get worse. And at some point we're going to see somebody... yes, we're going to see that. We've already seen it from MT96. He's worked his way back up to 8th place. But there's your leader. 3.4 seconds is his lead over Wendigo. Timosius has closed the gap a little bit on Wendigo. That'll be because the tyre wear is absolutely brutal. And this is where we might see 1 or 2 cars that have just gone that extra lap, maybe that lap too long, on these medium tyres, having a problem. But Wendigo particularly struggling because Timosius has really closed that gap. But he goes in, Timosius in, Pazkozas in. What about Guy? Guy's in, Manfredas. Manfredas might stay out actually. He doesn't. He could have, but he didn't. Mr. J, he comes in. MT96, what's he going to do? He's going to stay out. So, big brass balls from this guy. And we'll see how this works out for him. That's what it is. Staying out that long absolutely is. So he goes through. Simona's comes straight back out. No fuel for Simona, straight on with tyres. Same as Wendigo, straight with the tyres. Didn't need to refuel. But he's now split. He's now stuck behind MT96. Yes, of course, there is the pit thing to consider, and the fact that MT96 will be jumping in the pits. But I'm actually wondering whether it's best served holding Wendigo up here, because he's really going to be affecting Wendigo's race. The gap is already 4.5 seconds. He's holding Wendigo up. He's going in the pits, but he's holding Wendigo up. And that is... I'm not sure how sporting I think that is. Look, you know, he has every right to maintain track position. But when you know you're pitting anyway, surely the thing you want to do is just get in there and get it done. But he's in 3rd place. He's still putting trying to put some moves on the back of Wendigo. But as I said, it doesn't really make sense to do it. You know you're pitting at the end of this lap. And if you're not pitting at the end of this lap, you're certainly pitting at the end of the next lap. So there's no benefit to you. Burning more fuel and tyres, trying to hold another car off. You're better off letting those cars go, because at some stage, when the pit things right themselves, as they do over the course of the race, it will sort itself out. You'll find that you're going to be battling with them at some stage. So, just put your pace in and run your race from where you are. Wendigo does get back up into 2nd. Timosius back up into 3rd as MT96 pulls into the pits for the first time. He's hung it out there for 9 laps or 10 laps really, because he's starting lap 10. So, yeah, 9 laps of those 34. Anyone looking like they're going to be putting a challenge anywhere? We've got 7.2 seconds from Fizrokas to Shady, which is more than that now. So 16 seconds from Shady to MT96. It's 3.7 to Fizrokas in the beautiful, beautiful Supra with that awesome livery. Mr. J, 8.3 seconds up the road. 1.3 to Mantvidas. 7.9 up to Gidrazo. Just under a second to Paz Kozas. So there may be a little battle here between Guy and Paz Kozas. 2.7 seconds to Timosius, 3.8 to Wendigo, and about 4.5 years to the alien out in front, Simonas. This is the downside to having not having a full lobby of 15 racers, is that you get less of those little battles across the racetrack that we're so used to seeing from last season. Really want to get some more of these guys back involved and back to racing in and get some of the really exciting action that we saw in season 2. You know, where at any stage you could literally, apart from that kind of especially when Simonis and Las Vegas were involved, you could kind of guarantee that one of those two were going to win. But everywhere else on the racetrack was up for grabs, and I like that kind of racing, and it'd be good to see that happening again here with these guys. So there he is. Simonis leads the way. I suppose we have to check on him every so often. It's not like he's involved in any battles at the moment. 6 seconds is his gap out in front. He's on a medium compound tyre. Fastest lap 1:45.2. There is certainly a low 44 in this lap, but that's only going to be on the soft compound tyre. And in all honesty, I can't imagine anyone using the soft compound tyre at this stage. It's just too abrasive. Wendigo running in second place. 5 seconds, the gap over to Moses is really opening up that gap now and showing his pace. His fastest lap is a 45.7. Only half a second. I suppose if you go half a second over 34 laps, you know, that's 17, 18 seconds, isn't it? 17 seconds. So, yeah. But 34 seconds, 34 laps, half a second a lap is a lot. But it is only half a second off the fastest lap, which isn't too shabby when you consider that Simonas could drive a dust cart with no wheels at this speed. There is Timosius. He already changed out his car. Now, not sure what the thinking was behind changing it out, particularly knowing there was an update coming. I think even if you're unhappy with your car, knowing there was an update imminent, you probably would have been better off holding on to that token until the update. Even if, you know, nothing changed with the cars, because you could find that some cars' physics have changed within that update, and that, and you may find the car now performs better or worse, whatever. But you know, what's done is done. Everybody gets the same opportunity. 1.5 seconds is the gap to Paz Kozas. He's got Guy bearing down on the back of him. Guy is looking to have some of Paz Kozas right now. He wants to get close. He wants to have a go. And he wants to make it very, very special if he can. But Paz Kozas is going to make sure that he blocks off every single opportunity so that it is fully every time that Guy gets close. I'm really playing with this weird stuff, you know. This weird stuff. I've got all these other things as well, like this. Yeah. Let's have some fun with it, eh? So Mantvidas, 8.7 seconds back. He is in no road. In fact, the only people really racing out there right now. So Simonas, time trial. Wendigo, time trial. Timosius, he's got Kozas behind him. He's in a bit of a race at the moment. Guy behind Paz Kozas. There's a race going on there. 3rd, 4th and 5th. There's definitely a race going on there. Mantvidas, bit of a time trial at the moment. Mr. J, 4 seconds back. Time trial for MT96. He's up to 8th place. But nice big gap either side. Fizrokas, time trial for him. Shady, time trial for him. So really the only real battle at the moment we should be looking at is this one here. Guy, Paz Kozas and Timosius. And those clouds are looking ropey over there. I'm wondering if we end up with some rain. Wouldn't that be mental if we ended up with some rain here? because I think that would mix it up a bit. And this track, when it's wet, is a very different animal. It becomes treacherous, it becomes complicated, and it becomes, above all, very, very dangerous. The thing is, I mean, it is a slippery track anyway, but I mean, the best drivers can still operate on the soft compound tyres here until it gets way above the inters line. But when you go here, you go far. I mean, this is probably, if you look at this corner here, this is a corner where you have the least amount of runoff. From this point onwards, you've really got loads and loads and loads of extra space to deal with. And if you go off the track, you could find yourself in quite some way away from the edge of from the actual racetrack itself. Simonis leads 7.3 seconds now. Yeah, well, what can you say? 145.2. He's steadily plodding along. He had a couple of bad laps when the tyres were OP, a 47.3 and a 48.5. But he's back in the rhythm now. Lap 8, so 6 laps 16, 3 laps time, 4 laps time is the next pit window. Wendigo 6 seconds clear of Timosius, and there is Timosius in that battle. He's got Kozas bearing down on him. Is Kozas going to get close enough this time to make a move into turn 1? Certainly got some decent grip. He's closer, much closer than he was. If he can get a good run through these final 2 corners here, despite the really bad lag coming through from the server today, he can, if he's got the impetus here. And is he closing? No, he's not. Timosius actually got a better exit initially out of the corner and opens up the gap rather than Kozas being able to close in the slipstream. He's finding it that it's only towards the end that the slipstream really comes into effect, and Timosius is able to stay ahead into turn 1. Next opportunity is going to be way at the end of the start of sector 3. Because no other corners here, unless you make a mistake, of course, there's no other corners here that really give you the space or the opportunity to make an overtake. And he could have, I suppose, tried to chuck one down the inside. But, I mean, if Timosius is lagging in front of him as much as he's lagging here on the screen for us, then you have to be concerned about making an overtake, because you don't know where the car's going to be when you try and slip down either the inside or the outside, depending which way you're going, I suppose. But here, the only real place to make the overtake is up the inside. And here we go. This is the second opportunity on this track, or the only other real opportunity. Good opportunity for a switcheroo there, but not close enough again. Slipstream here. You can see Wendigo up in the distance. It's 6.2 seconds, but it is some way up the road. But a great shot there of these two racing with Wendigo chasing after Simonis. It's almost fifth. It's not me. Wendigo chasing anyone chasing Simonis, or here we go. Is there an opportunity here? Timosius didn't have a great exit, and this is the chance for Timosius coming round this final couple of turns. This is where he needs to be, nice and tight. If he can get a good exit through these 2 turns, this is where he can make that move. He's not close enough right now. Is he close enough? Is he going to get close enough? He's 3/10 back. Better exit this time? No, Timosius just again on the power that little bit sooner. So by the time the slipstream kicks in, there's just not enough impetus to make the move into turn 1. Timosius doing just enough to stay clear of Kozas. So no moves there for us. Nothing to get excited about there as yet. Guidrazo dropping back from that battle a little bit. Out of the slipstream. He's sticking with them, but he's not right on top of them as we're used to seeing him, which is disappointing, because I was quite looking forward to a bit of a battle here on Autopolis today. But much like race number 1, it's proven to be more of a procession than I like. I mean, obviously last week we had some good racing last week, but hopefully this. We'll see some drivers come alive towards the end. So, full rundown from the back of the pack. There is Shady. He is in the Aston Martin he's in the Genesis, isn't he? He's in the Genesis on the hard compound tyre. So he'll not be looking to pit really until somewhere around probably lap 20 before he'll be looking at the pits. 2021 maybe. Fizz Ruckus on the mediums. He's pitting at the end of this lap without question. He's going to be struggling on those tyres. 23 seconds behind MT96. He's way out of sync in terms of pit stops with everybody else around him. So he, on those medium tyres, will probably go another 3 or 4 laps. So lap 18, lap 19, and we'll see him diving in. Mr. J, a couple more laps for him, lap 17 maybe, with some bravery. Mantvadas will be coming in around 16 or 17. Gidrazo, if he doesn't come in, well, he didn't come in at the end of this that last lap, so it will be the end of this lap 16. We'll see him as Tomosis will stay out a couple of laps longer. He's done a really good job actually of looking after his tyres, but Paz Kozas is past him and looking to chase down now on Wendigo in second. But Tomosis looking after his tyres, so he's actually going to stay out a little bit longer. Paz Kozas, either this lap or certainly lap 17, if he doesn't come in this time, will be his pit window. Wendigo, end of this lap, would be, for me, the wise choice. Don't wait for Simonis. That would be my advice. Simonis is going to try and take this as long as possible. We know how much time he lost when he stayed out before. He lost almost 3 seconds. You can see already the time drop off on these tyres towards the end. And I'm not entirely sure, if you're just pitting for tyres and not for fuel as well, that it's worth dropping. Essentially, we look, he's doing steady 45, mid 45 for the first 3 laps. Then the next 3 laps, he's dropping a second a lap, almost 1 second, 2 seconds, almost 4 seconds over the next 3 laps. Is it worth dropping so much time over the course of a race to just go that extra lap every time? I'm not entirely sure it is in terms of pace. I mean, look, you know, he's not under any pressure for anyone, so he can take that risk that the tyres let go from underneath him. He doesn't have to worry too much because he's so far ahead. Wendigo makes the right choice. He goes in because, and the reason I think this is the right choice is because you're not getting as much loss in terms of actual lap time. With still some grip left on those tyres, and you can get in there, get some tyres on. He's going to put a bit of fuel in this time, I would imagine, or is he? Yeah, he's putting a little bit of fuel in. He's going to whip out there now, and he can push those tyres where those around him that are staying out a little bit longer than they should do can't do. So Wendigo comes back out in 5th, but MT96 makes the move. He finds himself tucked behind him again, makes the move up into turn 1, straight away regains that position. And up into 5th place, 7.1 seconds behind Mantvadas. But the pit sync window is kind of very, very different now. So Wendigo makes that move into 5th position, this time not being held up by the other BMW of MT96. Mantvadas goes up into 4th. 10 seconds up the road is Timosius. He is still battling with Paz Kozas here. Tyres looking a lot better for Timosius than they are for Paz Kozas. I'll just show you, you can see the difference here. That Timosius just has a little bit more grip in there to be playing with. Paz Kozas is going to be struggling a bit with those tyres, and he's going to have to pit this lap. Now, the question is whether Timosius decides to. Personally, I would, and I think it's a wise idea, because if he can stay out and do the same laps as Paz Kozas can, but have better grip, he's going to find himself in a better position at the end of each stint, and be able just to push that little bit harder to improve his lap times. And that will keep him ahead. So Simonis in, Paz Kozas in, Timosius is in, Mantvadas, will he follow them in? He comes round that final turn. Does he pull to the left-hand side in the Mustang? Hell yes he does. Wendigo, he won't. He's already been in. So this is where he'll benefit. Will he take the lead of this race? Abso-blinking-lutely he does. That is a great, great move. Great move from him. No, he didn't. That's the wrong button. Apologise for that. That's what he was looking for. bye-bye. And he's 3.2 seconds clear. Now, is this where the seed change happens? Do we finally see a challenge to the crown of Simonas? Somebody that can bring something else, that they might not have the pace, but they bring consistency. They bring a clever pit strategy, maybe. Maybe that's what it's going to take. If you can't beat him on outright pace, can you beat him with a clever strategy, with changing something up, making it hard for him to get through? I mean, now he's caught behind MT96, who is on very, very worn tyres. If he does catch up to the back of him, and he is 4.8 seconds back to the first bonus. If he does catch up to the back of him, is he going to be held up behind him? Does that give Wendigo a little bit of a cushion? Yes, his tyres are 1 lap fresher. There is always going to be that, but everyone's still got a pit at least once more, possibly twice. So it's not so much of a big deal at this stage. If I were in Simonas' shoes, which I'm not, because I can't drive at twice the speed of any normal human being, I would be sort of planning ahead now as to what I need to do to win this race. Because Wendigo's opening up that gap from MT96. Simonas is 10.5 seconds now behind Wendigo. They've both pit the same amount of times. So that undercut is incredibly strong. So those extra laps on those worn tyres where you're losing time just don't work. They don't work, and we can see now that hasn't worked. We saw in stint 1 that hanging out there didn't work in terms of lap times. And Wendigo spotted that and absolutely powered into the lead of this race. Can he hold it? That's the big question. Has Simonas got that extra super pace to get involved? Wendigo's done a 1:44.4 in gaining the lead of this race. That's a phenomenal lap. That's Porsche Cup Division 1 kind of pace. So you've got to be pretty happy with that, right? Right, looking down the order. Fizz Rockus at the back of the pack. He's been into the pits. He's going to be out there for another 6 or 7 laps before he comes in. Mr. J just come out of pits. He will be out a little bit longer than Fizz Rockus. Does that put Fizz Rockus in a difficult position, maybe? Shady, he's on those hard tyres. He's got to run a lot longer than everybody else. Very much out of sync with these guys. He's going to pop into the pits now. He's still going to have to stop once more after this. Because the hard tyres didn't do 15 laps. And that's why... No, Wendigo has disconnected. That is absolutely devastating. Devastating. And I don't know what else to say. It's gone horribly wrong. And it's one of these. Because now the disconnection means no points. Well, we're never going to find out now, Rollers, if it was genius. I genuinely thought that undercut was going to win in this race. Because in terms of, he was only, at the fastest, he was only half a second slower than Simonas. So that high, a 10-second gap, Simonas would have needed to have done 20 laps half a second faster to beat him. So I thought genuinely he had it, but the disconnection has absolutely killed him, and you've got to feel for him. It's heartbreaking when that happens, absolutely heartbreaking. And unfortunately now we're going to find out just what everyone else has got, because I think today the only person that stood a chance of bringing the A game to Simonas is no longer on the track. So even when he's not the fastest man out there, he's still gifted the points. Important question: does Wendigo still get the fastest lap point even after he's disconnected and gets no points for not being in the race? That's an interesting question. I'm assuming not. I'm assuming the fastest lap would go to the next in line, maybe. So, all change. It is 7 seconds back to Guidrazo. 1.9 to Paz Kozas in third place. 10 seconds back to Timosius. 7.8 seconds to Manfredas, 10.4 to MT96, who, after having a bad first lap, has not been able to get back involved around the front of the pack. Mr. J, 21 seconds. Fizrukas is 17 seconds ahead of Shady, and that's just the 9 runners left. We've lost Wendigo, absolutely gutted for him. And so Simonis is going to break the LRC record of 5 races in a row, or well, previously 4, now 5 races in a row. He'll be the first to do it, although somewhat tainted by the fact I think he was gifted to him today. I'm not suggesting that he's not quick and he cannot win a race, but I think that the way this race was going, Wendigo had perfected his strategy, and bar a crash, I think he was going to take the big W here. But now he's and I'll tell you what I'd be doing is I'd be kicking shit around my house at the minute, puppies and babies and cups and a seal and maybe a couple of dogs and a rabbit would be getting booted significantly. And before the RSPCA start getting in touch, I'm not actually going to do that. Fuck off, you tree hugging weirdo. 7.7 seconds ahead is Simonas from Gidrazo in the GTR. Can Gidrazo pick up some good solid points today? Shall we have a quick look? Because it is a bit of a time trial, no one's really challenging anybody. We'll have a quick look at the current standings. That's where we're at in terms of the standings. Simonis is going to open up that lead by loads. Gidrazo, he may, if it stays as it is, jump MT96 or King Bob as it is there in the M6. But Simonis is going to open up a huge gap. Wendigo's going to languish down near the bottom of the pack, which is going to be devastating after being disconnected there. All we can really say is, holy shitballs. So Simonis leads. Let's show you at the back of the pack. He's 17 seconds back in that Genesis. Fizrukas ahead of him in the Supra of Beauty. Lovely, lovely looking car, that. 18 seconds up the road is Mr. J. He is 16 seconds behind MT96, who is not making any inroads into Manfredas at all. 10.4 seconds, the gap up to him. Timosius running in 4th place, 8.4 seconds behind, in front of Manfredas. He's 9.8 behind Paz Kozas. But genuinely, the only 2 cars currently in any sort of real race today now are Gidrazo and Paz Kozas. It's 1.3 seconds is the difference at the moment. Fastest lap still with Wendigo, who we lost to a disconnection problem. But can Paz Kozas close up on Gidrazo and give us something to think about for the last 13 laps of this race? Still one more pit at least for everybody. When they do that, how they do that, I don't think, other than Guy and Paz Kozas, I can't see that any change in pit strategy is going to help or hinder anybody now. We know the undercut is pretty strong. We saw it with Wendigo, just how strong it can be. Guy's going to have to go in before Paz Kozas does. I suppose that in some way is going to play its part, because it really depends on how far can Paz Kozas go. Gidrazo's only got, realistically, another couple of laps left in those medium compound tyres. Now, does he opt to go straight onto the hard compound tyre to guarantee 9 laps of grip? Or does he go onto the mediums in the knowledge that at some point towards the end, that grip is really going to drop off and he could find himself under a bit of pressure from Paz Kozas should he stay ahead through the pit window? Meanwhile, Paz Kozas is in a different position. He can go beyond that sort of golden, the golden use the medium tyre limit, for whatever, I can't think of a better expression for it, where he knows if he can take it past the limit where he knows that the medium tyres are going to stay within grasp, stay very grippy, and he doesn't even have to stay out on crappy tyres in order to consolidate that either. So he's in a slightly better position than Gidrazo at the moment, and purely for that fact. And it looks like we're going to have, and that's Finland, isn't it? Is that Finland? I'm going to Google it because I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure that's the Finnish flag. Not to be confused with the Finnish flag, which is the black and white one you get when you finish the race. Two different types of finish, of course. So Simonas leads from GR3, 8.4 seconds. Where's Wendigo? If you've just joined us and you're looking for Wendigo, disconnected, baby. Disconnected. And there's not a lot left to say about that. And right, it is the Finnish flag. So it's Finland leads, or Finnish-Lithuanian leads Polish-Lithuanian GR3, who leads another Finnish-Lithuanian in Paz Kozas, British-Lithuanian in Timosius, the American-Lithuanian in Manfredas, then the British-Lithuanian in King Bob MT96. It's in the BMW M6. Beautiful car, but running back in 6th place. 20 seconds back from that Denmark? Denmark? I think it is. Or Norway. Oh, that's Norway, isn't it? Yeah, I think I'm going with Norway. I should be better with the European flag, shouldn't I, really? Am I second guessing myself? And I actually do know it, and I'm just I'm trying not to it is Norway. See, I did know. So Finland, Poland, Finland, United Kingdom, United States, United Kingdom, just said, Norway, United Kingdom, United Kingdom, and Wendigo is gone. Is the gap getting bigger? Of course it is. Without question, it's getting bigger. Simonas now, he can relax, because he knows the only person on the racetrack that could have beaten him, and probably was going to beat him, is no longer out there. And not only does that, who's probably, unless we see Las Vidas return, is probably the only person that's not, that is able to challenge Simonas for the championship, is so far adrift now. It's going to be a real uphill struggle. GR3 is under some pressure from Paz Kozas. Does he stay out for another lap? That's a mistake for me. I can see why he's doing it. He wants to make sure that he can go onto the medium compound tyres. But he's going to lose position here. Paz Kozas is going to have so much more grip. He's going to make this move, and absolutely he makes this move. He's going to have the inside line. He's going to get round. He's going to make that move stick as well. And absolutely nothing he can do. And there we go. And it is all about that. Up into 2nd place. GR3 is going to pit first. Paz Kozas can stay out for another lap and go hammer time and not worry too much about how much tyre he takes out. And he's going to leave himself on much fresher tyre. Well, I mean much fresher. I mean around here the tyre wear. 1 lap is much fresher. Going into the final stint of the race. I think that's costly in terms of GR3's race there. So I think Paz Kozas can relax a little bit. 11 seconds to Simonas. There's someone who's going to be relaxing. The rest of the race is going to be a time trial for him out in front. Timosius at the moment, time trial for him, 8.5 seconds back from GR3. He's going to pit at the end of this lap, as is GR3. So it's going to be about fuel. And let me point out something very significant here right now. Look at this. That's the fuel on board for GR3. He didn't fuel in the last stop. Will have to stay in the pits and refuel. That's for Timosius. He is in a much better fuel position. In fact, he may. I don't even think he's got to fuel. He doesn't. He's not going to have to fuel when he comes in. He just has to put on tyres. This is going to be a disaster for GR3. He's actually going to move down even further down the order, and it's going to be almost impossible for him to do anything about it. Timosius stays out on those tyres, and he doesn't even need to. He should go in. He's going to lose a couple of seconds on this lap, trying to manage that extra, that lack of grip. And he didn't need to, because the tyres he's going onto, the medium tyres, will last till the end of this race from there. Does this cost him here? Because, look, Manfredas is through. He's going to pit at the end of this lap, or maybe not. MT96 does still need to pit. He can't go to the end, but he will need to stop because of the fuel situation. But he will be putting on soft tyres, possibly. If he can take it far enough. Maybe he can't, actually. So Giadrazo comes out in 6th place. Now, we know that he's got to pit. We know that he's got to pit. And we know that he's got to pit. And so everyone in front of him has got to pit. The problem we've got is that he is... it's 11 seconds to Simonis. So Giadrazo is 41 seconds back from Paz Kozas. And 31 seconds back from Timosius. 31 seconds, basically if you're putting on just tyres, 17 seconds will do it. So that will put Timosius out ahead of Guy. Paz Kozas, he's going to need some fuel, slightly different scenario. It may be actually that 11 seconds gets eroded by Timosius when he goes in, because he doesn't have to fuel, remember. So Simonis goes in for his final pit stop, 11 seconds clear of Paz Kozas. Let's get rid of that. Then we've got, of course, Paz Kozas coming in. Timosius, he'll go around his last few corners. You can see there, I mean, his fastest lap there in that last, which he did in that last, it was a 46.2. And a little bit of a problem going into the pits, but just saved by the cutscene, I think, there. Message there from Slipstream, Division 1 driver, just joined Black Flag. You might be pleased to know that they have recruited another Tier 1 driver to the team. So MT96 goes on into the lead. He's ahead of Simonis, but he does still need one more pit stop in this race. And Simonis is there behind him, and he's already looking to make a move. So not really much MT96 can do. Does he hold him up for a little bit? He did that with Wendigo. Held him up for a little while. Didn't really do it. The only thing that Wendigo's lost out on is a win here because of the disconnection. But other than that, there's not really much else to be said. Sorry, I was just looking at something, but it was completely different than I was expecting. Right, okay. Back of the pack. Who still needs to pit? Right, Fizrukas. He's running to the end. He's got 59 seconds behind Shady. Shady probably can't make it to the end, but with a 59-second gap over Fizrukas, it's going to be some kind of madness that's going to allow Fizrukas to jump that gap. It will take an absolute... if he does it. Shady, 31 seconds back from Manfredas. Manfredas does not need to pit. Wendigo back in the room, but not a lot we can really do about it now. It's not like he is still out there racing. 1.5 seconds. Manfredas to Mr. J. Mr. J is going to pit. Manfredas will gain a place. Mr. J does have to put fuel on. Shady may also gain a position here, which will just give them a couple of extra points around that midfield. Mr. J, under some pressure from Manfredas. Again, you know, it's this thing about holding drivers up when you know you've got a pit. It's just stupid. You know, you're not doing yourself any favours either, because you are compromising your own race, potentially ended up with a little smackaroony into a wall for the sake of what? I don't understand. There we go. Into the pits he goes. You are much better off getting out of the way, letting him through, because you never know what might happen. Giadrazo in 5th place. Now, he has got to push. Ahead of him is Fizrukas. You can get a little bit of slipstream from him to help him along the way. Paz Kozas 5.3 seconds up the road. That is Giadrazo's target. Best lap for Paz Kozas has been a 1:45.7. The best lap for Giadrazo may have been quicker than that, but I couldn't tell you because it's off the chart already. In terms of a regular, consistent pace, Giadrazo's doing mid-46 to mid-47. Paz Kozas, mid-46 to mid-49s. He's done a couple of high 45s. So potentially that gap could close. Tamosius, he's in front of Paz Kozas there. Running down MT96. Still a battle going on between those two. Pascozas can still nick it, but Timosius looking that little bit quicker. He's out ahead of him as well, with fresher tyres. MT96 is going to have to pit. This is when he does so. Nearly loses it going in. In he goes. Timosius will come through. There he goes. He's through. Pascozas through. Gidrazo, does he go through? Relegating MT96 down to 5th place. Absolutely, he does do that. I thought he did not. So MT96 putting on some fuel. Where's Manfredas? I don't think Manfredas is close enough. Still putting fuel on though. Manfredas is coming down the straight now. Does that mean that MT96, I think the fact it's a very, very short pit exit, saved his goddamn ass right then. And he luckily gets to stay ahead. And all he can say to Manfredas is, Manfredas has to beat him on the racetrack. 36 seconds back to Mr. J. Half a second back to Shady. But he does need to pit before the end of this race. He cannot possibly take those tyres to the end. So, yeah, if I were you... Well, I suppose there is always the opportunity, if something goes wrong, do those hard tyres go another 5 laps? I'm not entirely sure they do, but he may well get them to last that long. But it's going to be very difficult on those hard tyres to make a move on Mr. J, no matter how quick you're going, because he's just going to have the traction coming out of the corners. There's your race leader, 11.3 seconds clear. The only man on the racetrack that could have challenged him is was disconnected, and we lost him, and not a lot really can do about it, but it still has the fastest lap with a 44.4. Timosius running comfortably in 2nd place now, but for how long? So he is 9 tenths ahead of Pascozas. Pascozas is on the hunt. This is his view. He has got 5 laps in which to catch, overtake, and demolish Timosius. What's it gonna be? That's the question. Can he catch him? Can he get past him? And then, can he make that stick until the end of the race? We'll see. We'll see. I think that Pascozas is very much capable of catching, getting past Timosius and giving him a bit of wave. But it's all about catching him in the first place. That's going to be where the difficulty lies. It's such a difficult track. So, I mean, really, all Timosius has got to do is just make sure he's hitting the apexes. Make sure that he keeps the car within those white lines defining the track limits. Just make sure that he doesn't over push the car. He's got a semi-decent gap, which is hovering around 1 second. If he can keep it there, he knows Pascozas can't make the move. If it gets within half a second, particularly coming up to the first corner of Sector 3 or Turn 1, then he might need to worry a little bit. But it's going to be about managing that distance now until the end of this race. Simone's gap come down a little bit, but not enough to worry him in the slightest. He knows that all he's got to do is keep the car pointing in the right direction. Timosius will try and hunt him down, but his bigger concern is the charge of Pascozas behind him. Gidrazo, 5.8 seconds is what he needs to make up if he wants to get in that top 3. Of course, there could be a little coming together and then Guy gets through, but I don't think we can be banking on something like that happening. I think we have to consider that if Gidrazo wants to get the job done, he's going to have to go a lot faster and close up on those two. 12.3 seconds to MT96, or King Bob as he's otherwise known. What can you say? He didn't have the greatest of starts, ended up at the back of the pack. When these guys are so outside Sabonis and the really quick guys, these guys are so relatively close in terms of pace, and he has actually put in the fastest lap of the race with a 44.2. But with 11.2 seconds to make up with Gidrazo, it would take an insane miracle to get anything more out of this race than he currently has. He should, by all intents and purposes, stay ahead of Manfredas. Now, I can't see... Excuse me, I can't see how Manfredas is going to make up such a big deficit this late on into the race here at Autopolis. Mr. J, 38 seconds back. It's been, to be fair, for most of this race, it's been a time trial for most of these drivers. Only a couple have really been involved in any battles. Shady, 21.7 seconds back. And then it's 1 minute back to Fizz Ruckus. It's unusual to see Fizz Ruckus way back there in 9th place. He's usually one of those really solid midfield performers that you see putting in the kind of decent laps. You know, they're not Simonis or Wendigo pace, but they're certainly good, solid midfield runner pace. But just today, it just hasn't worked. And I blame this racetrack because it's, for want of a better expression, it's dog shit. And whenever I see that this track is on the roster, that's what I think. That shit is fucked up because it's a rubbish run. This Suzuka I can tolerate over this track. This is the worst racetrack on this game by some significant margin. Even over all the dirt tracks, even worse than that stupid Barcelona rallycross track. There, I've said it, put it out there. The next update removes this track. It's been too late already. So there's your race leader, Simonas, leading the way, and just nice and calm. He can absolutely just cruise along now and know that it's pretty much done and dusted. Timosius and Paz Kozas, it is on. Paz Kozas has closed that gap, and now we've got some racing. Can Timosius keep him at bay? And I wonder if he can, because right now Paz Kozas is on a charge. There's only going to be, when they get round these last couple of corners, there's only going to be 2 racing laps left. Timosius doesn't get the best of runs out of that last corner. Paz Kozas gets a great run on him. He's in that slipstream. Can he chuck it down the inside? It doesn't look like he's ready to do that just yet. Didn't seem to gain too much time. Under braking, for a moment there, it looked like he was going to make it, but not quite. Next opportunity is the end of Sector 3. They come round, complete Sector 1. Paz Kozas hunting it down. He wants to make it a finish 1-2. Finish at the finish, to the finish. Yeah. Shut up, don't go day job, son. Closing down on Timosius, and this is going to be a raging battle to the end of this race. Tyre-wise, I don't think either of these guys have to worry. Let's show you what's going on there. They're both in a good position for tyres. But Timosius actually struggling a little bit maybe for fuel. 2 laps remaining. How long can he push? How long can he keep Paz Kozas at bay? I'll tell you what, I think this is going to be a difficult last couple of laps for Timosius. And Paz Kozas can just keep that pressure on. And I think the second podium place comes to him. Now, the other problem is this. Gidrazo is 7.2 seconds back. No pressure from MT96 behind. Fuel-wise, he's looking okay. No worries there. Here's the thing. If Timosius pushes that much harder to keep Paz Kozas at bay and runs out of fuel, does that give Gidrazo a top 3? There is still that distinct possibility. We round the last couple of corners. Paz Kozas still looking for a way through. Can Timosius hold him at bay as we head into the final lap of the race? And this is that battle for second place. Timosius trying to break that slipstream. Does not want to give anything up. Paz Kozas pulls out the slipstream. Under braking. Has a look up the inside. Doesn't make the move. He goes for the switcheroo. Doesn't work either. But he's so much closer coming out of turn 1. He's right up behind Timosius. Timosius, though, just trying to break any opportunity. Round the outside. Paz Kozas goes. You can't really do it there. It's not going to work. They are fully on this, fully committed in this last lap here at Autopolis. And what a drive from Timosius to keep Pascozas at bay. But I tell you something, the fuel is absolutely squeaky bum time on the fuel. Squeaky bum time. Without question, he's worrying whether he can make it to the end here. Simonis is going to win this race. We will catch him crossing the line. But at the minute, this is where it matters. This is where this battle ensues. We're into sector 3. There are only a handful of corners left for Pascozas to make his move. And this will either, if Timosius stays here, he's driver of the day. Pascozas up the inside. He makes the move and it is on. It is absolutely on like Donkey Kong, and it is that. And Timosius just cannot hold off the charge of Pascozas, and into the last few corners we go. What a bold move. Pascozas went full, and it paid absolutely off. And now we've got Simonis. I didn't even catch Simonis crossing the line. Simonis does win this race. There is Pascozas coming home in second place. Timosius in third. Gudrazo doesn't luck out with Timosius running out of fuel. He will come home in fourth place. MT96, not the best race for him. He's fifth. Manvidas. Feliz Manvidas. Feliz Manvidas. That's actually the song that was written about him when someone fell in love with him over Christmas. He comes home in sixth place. Mr. J, he comes home in seventh, 43 seconds back. Don't think Shady's going to catch him. We're looking at fuel, he's fine. Shady's going to be fine. Fizrukas, bad day in the office for him. But here comes Mr. J on the final lap of this race. In fact, everybody, Fizrukas finishes a lap sooner than they do. Lap 33 for Fizrukas. Mr. J will eventually make it home. Here we go. Into the last couple of corners comes Mr. J. He will round this left-hander and head towards the line. Seventh place for him. Bloom. And Shady will come home in eighth place. 5 wins in a row. Simple as 5 in a row. First time it's been done. Absolutely acknowledge it. Applause to Simonis. I mean, he was uncatchable today. Well, he was once Wendigo disappeared. So Wendigo could have and probably should have, and I think if he'd stayed in the room would have denied Simonis the 5th win in a row. Denied him that record. But you don't just have to be fast. You don't just have to be consistent. You also need to have a stable internet connection. And today that didn't happen. So another good performance from Simonis. That's 3 from 3. He doesn't get the fastest lap point today though, which makes a change. But there we go, all done and dusted. Final look at the standings. That's not it. That's the standings right there. Final look at them. It'll be 25 points for Simonis. That will open his gap up at the top from King Bob to about 35 points there or thereabouts. Big loss for Wendigo. Those 20 points there, or the 25 points he would have got had he won that race, would have put him way up the leaderboard. So we move on. Just 7 races left, man. So that's Autopolis done and dusted, 34 laps there. We move on to Kyoto Driving Park, Yamagiwa and Miyabi. That's the correct way around. That is 32 laps. Awesome racetrack that is. And we get to see some very, very close racing there. And I really, really hope we have 15 drivers next week. And we have some good on-track action. So all that's left to say really is thank you very, very much for joining me. I've been Urban Pirate. This has been Black Flag Racing TV. We have been live with the Lithuanian GR3 Championship here on Black Flag Racing TV. We are back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. New and improved sayings. Yeah, yeah, I do want to get a little montage video, but next up is the GR4 lottery. That's tomorrow, about 7:30. Final round, of course, and I will announce the scores on the doors from the double bump